I'm Ric Edelman. Golfers hate the 17th hole at the Tournament Players Club. The slightest mistake there puts a ball in the lake. A great example of risk and reward. Plus, Bob Johnson, the founder of BET, tells us about the bedrock beliefs that brought him up out of poverty and how it's helping him help others. All this and much more straight ahead on this week's edition of The Truth About Money.
Best-selling author and founder of one of the nation's largest financial planning firms, Ric Edelman.
It's the Loch Ness Monster of golf, a hole so tough that the first golfer to win a tournament there went back and threw the architect and the commissioner into the lake. Yeah, we're talking about the 17th hole at the Tournament Players Club at Sawgrass in Jacksonville, Florida. The green is an island, and the slightest mistake means disaster. Club General Manager Bill Hughes showed my colleague Anderson Wozni how it all comes down to risk and reward.
I was shocked to find out that even I can play golf here.
It is open to the public, believe it or not.
How much would it cost me to play on a course like this?
Well, top fee is just under $400. This is the PGA Tour Player Lounge area. See that pool table?
Yeah.
That's a custom-made pool table for this room. And there are some wars on that table, but they pale in comparison to the wars that take place on top of these green little
Ping pong
table. You should see this room. All the players huddle in here, the paddles come out, and the war begins.
Yeah.
This last room is one you're going to remember for the rest of your life. Welcome to the Shrine. This is the past champions locker room.
Wow.
Starting with locker number 1 to your left, Jack Nicklaus. You go all the way around this room, all the way up to last year's winner, basically a who's who of professional golf. You ready to go see the golf course?
So here we are on 16, looking around to 17, one of the most famous holes in golf.
This is all about risk and reward. If you go for this green in 2 and you don't hit the most precise shot, you're either looking at the water or you're looking at a spot over here amongst these hills and these moguls that it would take Houdini to get the ball up and down from.
That's a real close analogy to the investment world. Sometimes more risk is just more risk, and it's not worth it. Yes, you might be able to make that shot in 2, but if you can make it in 3 and be darn sure you're getting a par, does it make sense to try to go for 2 and end up with a bogey? Probably not. 17. It looks a little small.
With 30,000 people surrounding this area right here and 800 million people looking from around the world on television, that green, as small as it looks now, Anderson, it looks about that big. When Jerry Pate won the first tournament here in 1982, he said, I'm going up to that green, I'm going to throw the architect and the commissioner right in that dang lake. And that's exactly what he did. It's the ultimate hole of risk and reward. A foot here, a foot there, disaster looms. But if you aim for the middle of that green and take the safe shot,
Right.
and 2-putt that for par, right? Risk and reward. Anderson, that is the hole. And the only thing that it's missing today is you. So promise me that you'll come back one day, lace them up, and have a go at this.
I absolutely will.
All right, man. Look
Enjoyed
forward
it.
to that day.
Thank you.
Let's go see it.
Absolutely.
Let's go.
You had a good time on the golf course.
Oh, I had a great time on the golf course.
Well, but there's that old saying, a bad day at golf is better than a good day at the office.
Yeah, and they're not going to let me quit.
No, that's not going to happen. But what I'm really focusing on is this whole notion of risk and reward, that you've got to make a decision as you approach this hole how you're going to play it. Because you can go for the gusto and suffer horrifically if you fail, or you can play it safe and probably do okay.
Well, and that's the thing, in this course and this hole is so dangerous because it's the 17th hole. So if you're coming down there in the lead on Sunday, you don't have time to recover. This is very similar to coming up to retirement and you making a mistake right before you retire. You can't recover from that.
So it's easy for people in their 20s and 30s to be do-it-yourself investors. They go to a discount brokerage house and they buy some hot stock they think will do well. They don't want to play that game when they're 55 facing retirement.
No, you can do that at a practice round on Wednesday, but come Sunday afternoon, you want to be doing the right move.
So what you're really arguing is that there is a correlation between the game of golf and the world of investing?
Well, there certainly is. There's a mental as well as a physical aspect to it.
You see, you thought we were going to have trouble justifying this segment. Thanks, Anderson, very much.
Thank you.
What has been the average annual return of the S&P stock index since 1926? 7%, 8%, 9%, or 10%? We'll be back with the answer later in the program.
At a recent conference, investment advisors were asked just one question. What's the latest fad in investing?
I think the biggest and latest fad in investing is working with options. And it can work, but it could be very dangerous.
Well, the latest fad today is anything that's not connected to the market. Gold, commodities, anything that is not as volatile as the stock market, people are very interested in it.
Market timing, tactical investing, gold.
Gold. Gold and annuities. Right now, people's fear in the volatility of the market is going to cash. Unfortunately, there isn't that special indicator to tell you when it's time to get back in the market and participate on the upside.
What has been the average annual return of the S&P stock index since 1926? The correct answer is 10%.
First up from Pasadena, Frank, you're on the air. How are you?
Hello, Rick. Rick, my question is, recently I had an IRA rollover, and I'm going to have the brokerage manage it for me. And my question is, I've tried to do it several different ways. I can pay the fee from an external account or a check, or they can take it from the portfolio itself. What's your take on that for a person in my position? Is it the reason I'm hesitant to have them take it from the portfolio is because I'm not working anymore. I can't put any more money in that. And my gut feeling is that if the market is up, then probably let them take it from there. But if the market is down, they're going to have to sell shares and accounts to pay the fee, and then that's going to lessen the amount that's going to be in there.
So interesting connotation. Do you allow them to take the money out of the account, which lowers the value of the account, or do you write a check separately to prevent that from happening?
Yeah, Frank, our attitude is it doesn't really matter much, and follow me on this, because think about your money in the IRA. When you take money out, it is going to be fully taxed. So $1 in your IRA, in essence, really isn't worth $1 to you. After it comes out and you pay taxes, it's worth 70 cents. You're not alone. That's the way it is for everybody that has retirement accounts.
Right.
So if you're paying the fee from the IRA, they're taking that money out, it's really costing you, let's call it 70 cents on the dollar.
Will I be taxed on that money if they take it out of there?
You will not. There's an IRS ruling that says a fee that comes out of a retirement account is not taxable. So
okay, so then that's I won't have to worry about that aspect of it then.
Correct. And it's
right?
because of that issue, Frank, that Brandon is correct in his advice that you should let them debit your account. It's the most efficient way to do it. It preserves your liquidity. It minimizes the growth of the account, which for tax purposes is a good thing, allowing you to maximize the growth of the non-IRA accounts, meaning the money you've got elsewhere.
The way you treat money changes as you get older, the way you shop. Like when you're younger, you brag about how much money you spent on clothes. You know what I mean? Your friend's like, hey, you got new shoes? Yeah, man, $150. You don't believe me? I left a tag on them. Check that out. Get a little older. Hey, you got new shoes? Yeah, man, $9 at Payless. Can you believe that? $9. No red dot. That was full price. I paid $9 for shoes. Are they comfortable? No. In fact, I can't feel 3 of my toes. But with the money I saved, I can buy a new foot.
Hi, Rick. My wife and I have a 1-year-old daughter at home. How and when should we start teaching her about money?
You should start teaching your daughter about money at about age 3. It's about that age that children begin to make their first assisted purchases. Where is that? Where is the first place a child buys something? It's not the toy store. It's the grocery store. Because that's the kid's in the cart with mom or dad walking up and down the aisle, and what does the child point to? The cereal. And it's at that point that children are making their first assisted purchases, where kids say to mom or dad, let me pay, because it's so much fun watching mom or dad doing this. We need to teach these kids at very early ages the truth about money and where it comes from. And that means engaging them at very early ages. When you're teaching the children how to count, don't have them count marbles, have them count coins. When you're teaching them basic arithmetic, have them do addition using pennies. Let money become an integral, ordinary, routine part of their lives. And the most effective place that you can do this is with an allowance. At some point, you and your wife will make a decision about allowances for the children. Sometimes parents decide to just give a weekly allowance. Other times they trade money for work. If you do chores, or you'll get rewards, or what have you. You'll figure that out on your own, but the point is this. As you give the child money, you must make sure that the child learns that there are 4 things that they must do with the money that they get. Step number 1, they must be encouraged to spend some of it. With money comes opportunity, and we need to learn the value and joy of having money, buying a new car, or in their case, candy, or a doll, or a DVD, or downloading a song, whatever it might happen to be. Let them learn that money isn't an emotional burden, it's an opportunity to enjoy themselves and see what money can do for them. But there's more to life than just that. So in addition to spending some of it, they should be taught to save some of it. There are some things they want to buy they can't afford to with this week's allowance. There's the iPod that might take a lot longer. There is a bicycle, a car, college. So bigger expenses, they should be taught delayed gratification, the value of saving over long periods. Now you can take that money and put it into bank accounts, teaching them how passbook savings works. You can have them buy mutual funds, stocks, and learn about the investment world. And beyond that is step number 3. With the opportunity that money is offering us, also comes the obligation, the importance of helping out others who are less fortunate, who don't have the free cash flow that the child has. So they need to learn the importance of charity, of donating a portion of that money to others. Let them choose the charity. And frankly, the charity they might choose is a friend down the street. In many communities, a large percentage of children are living with families on food stamps. They're on assisted meal subsidy in their own schools. Helping out a friend is just as valid as helping out the church or some other charitable organization in the community. Let the child learn the importance of community and the responsibility that money brings with it. And finally, 4th, taxes. Let the child understand that when they receive money, they don't get to keep all of it. They have to give a portion of it, 20%, 30%, 40%, to taxes. So when they get a $5 allowance, withhold $1 and let them realize the cruelty of the tax man. And what you do with that $1 without their knowledge, you take that $1 and put it into an investment account. And you do that for the next 15 years. And when the child's ready to buy a car or go to college, you present them with this account that's worth tens of thousands of dollars that you've saved on their behalf from their tax money. You'll not only be a hero all of a sudden, you'll have demonstrated very powerfully the true benefit of truly long-term savings and delayed gratification, encouraging them to start saving for their retirement when they're only in their 20s. So spend a little, save a little, give a little, and tax a little, and your children will grow up wealthy.
Thank you.
wife. She's a real money manager, but like her tactics never make any sense. Like she buys everything in bulk, you know, like stuff that we don't even need. She bought like a 20-pound tub of I can't believe it's not butter. I'm like, really? Like, it's not even butter. It's not margarine either. They don't tell you what it is. They just tell you what it isn't. And you were that trustworthy? What if they sold I can't believe it's not birth control? Would you buy that? Because I'm not having sex with you, all right? She'll also buy like cereal, like she'll buy like the generic cereal. I'm like, this tastes like a diaper. Like, well, hey, you're going to save 40 cents. Like, really? 40 cents? Like, you carry a Louis Vuitton handbag, okay? You carry a Louis Vuitton handbag. She's like, well, I'll wear it for 10 years. I'm like, if you sold that, I could eat Fruity Pebbles for the rest of my life, okay? That's where I'm at on this.
Hey, Rick, I've got a question. I have a 401k, but I also have some extra money that I'm making right now, and I want to put it into a money market fund, but I have no idea what that is. So could you tell me what a money market fund is?
I love it when people have no idea what they're talking about and they ask questions to learn more. That is the fabulous way to begin. He's actually confused two different issues here, money market accounts and mutual funds. There are two different things, and a lot of folks kind of often get them confused. Here's how it works. A money market fund is a fund that looks and acts like a bank account, looks and acts like a savings account. And that is a place where people turn for short-term cash reserves. No big deal whether you do it with a bank or you go to a mutual fund company, they're going to look and act pretty much the same. But a mutual fund is very, very different. A mutual fund is a bucket. You put money into the bucket. A whole bunch of other people do too. Once the money's in the bucket, a fund manager uses the money to buy investments. Stocks, if it's a stock fund, bonds, if it's a bond fund, maybe it's a gold fund or a real estate fund. Whatever the fund's goal is, whatever its objective is, that's how the money will be invested. So you just have to ask yourself a simple question. What kind of investments do you want to own? Do you want to invest in the stock market? Then you'll buy a stock fund. Bonds? A bond fund, and so on. So the big question vexing investors is, what kind of fund do I buy? Or more appropriately, what combination of funds do I buy? This is the most important question facing investors, and it's important that you learn and understand how mutual funds work, including their risks and fees, before you make an investment. You've started with the right question, what are these things and how do they work? Now make sure you get the education you need before you invest, because as they say, Wall Street University charges high tuition. Hope that helps.
Is the following statement true or false? Your homeowner's insurance policy will pay for damage to your home caused by a flood. We'll be back with the answer later in the program.
Bob Johnson was the founder and chairman of BET, Black Entertainment Television, the nation's first and still leading television network providing programming for the African American audience. That's not what we're here to talk about with Bob Johnson today, though. There's something else that's hot on his mind as well as mine. The wealth gap between white and African American families has quadrupled in the past 30 years. According to the Census Bureau, white households have a median net worth that is 10 times higher than black households. It's just as bad about income. A study by the group United for a Fair Economy says that for every dollar a white person earns in income, African Americans earn only 57 cents. And these are the issues that it caused us to invite Bob Johnson to talk with us. Thanks so much for coming in today.
Rick, thanks for having me.
I've been involved in the financial literacy movement my entire professional career, now pushing 25 years, and the data that I just cited is very apparent to everyone who pays attention, that the minorities in this country are not doing as well financially as white America.
I gave a speech about 2 years ago, and I said there's a wealth gap tsunami that's threatening the very livelihood of African American families. Probably 60% of African Americans today will not attain the wealth of their parents. And when you look at that and you see a regression backward in terms of African American wealth and African American net income, it creates all kinds of social problems for this country.
Right.
We're going to a world of have and have-nots. And the people who have will begin to dislike, distrust, and take it out on the people who don't. And we can be in a situation where we can be, as the Kerner Commission report said, a permanent society of separates and unequal.
You didn't begin your career focusing on financial literacy issues at all, let alone in the African American community. But as you've achieved unprecedented success in your careers and you've become an American icon yourself, I think you've had an opportunity to look back and realize not everyone has enjoyed your spectacular lifestyle and results.
No, you're right, Rick, but I started out with very humble beginnings, son of a working class parents, one of 10 kids, and as I like to say, quoting, Pearl Bailey, I've tried poor and I've tried rich, and I like rich better.
So how is it that you were able to build yourself up from your own bootstraps when others aren't as fortunate?
Well, there are a couple reasons why people become successful. The first and foremost is a work ethic. You've got to believe in yourself. You got to have a commitment to work hard to achieve. The second is you got to have people around you who will motivate you, who will guide you, who will encourage you. And I think the third is probably a little bit of luck, grace of God, however you want to define it. But there's got to be something else there other than your own self. I'm a serial entrepreneur and a visionary. I believe fundamentally that there's a business solution to every social problem.
What's so frustrating to me is that we have never had more information, more access to information, and more opportunity, and yet, as you said, we're moving backwards in so many areas. How do we combat this?
Companies just have to engage in giving minorities a shot, a fair chance, an opportunity. We've also got to focus on the African American community in terms of financial behavior. Less consumption, more savings, more investments.
It's a refreshing point of view, and I really appreciate your taking the time to share it. Bob Johnson, thank you so much.
Thanks, Rick.
Is the following statement true or false? This statement is false. Flood insurance is available only through the National Flood Insurance Program. Your insurance agent can tell you more.
Before we go, we heard on this week's show how important it is to have a solid start. The couple who worried about what to teach their one-year-old about money. The bedrock beliefs of self-reliance and determination that brought Bob Johnson from humble beginnings to the pinnacle of success. But you know what else I saw? The pedicab driver in San Francisco who didn't really know anything about investing but was willing to learn. And that's important to remember. You may not know everything about your finances, your family may not have given you that running start, but everyone can admit that they don't know something. So don't be embarrassed to ask and learn from others. It's never too late to learn the truth about money. I'm Ric Edelman. See you next week.